It started with a powerful, almost compulsive desire to help. You were the reliable one, the good listener, the person who could just feel what others felt. But now, you're just exhausted. That deep well of compassion has curdled into resentment, and the thought of being there for one more person feels impossible. You find yourself thinking, if one more person asks me for something, I'm going to snap. What if I told you that this breaking point isn't random? For many empaths, it's the final stop on a predictable, four-stage journey. It's a path from a compassionate helper to the ragged edge of a breakdown, or maybe a breakthrough. In this video, we're going to walk through a framework for understanding these 4 stages of empath burnout. You'll see exactly where you might be on this path and how close you are to the snap. This isn't a story about weakness. It's a story about a superpower that was used without a user manual, and the profound awakening that happens when you finally decide to write your own. Every journey into empath burnout begins in a place that feels less like a problem and more like a calling. Let's call this Stage 1, the hero phase. This is you in your purest, most unshielded form. Your sensitivity isn't a burden yet, it's your superpower. You feel other people's joy and pain like they're your own, and you truly believe this is your purpose: to heal, to listen, to save. You're the go-to for every friend in crisis, the family peacekeeper, the emotional dumping ground for anyone who needs it. And for a while, it feels good. It feels validating. In this stage, your self-worth is completely tangled up with your ability to be needed. You're the hero rushing into the burning building of someone else's emotional chaos, and you take pride in coming out covered in soot. You answer the phone at 2 a.m. You say yes before you've even heard the full request. You twist your own life into a pretzel to accommodate their emergencies. Sound familiar? The danger here isn't the giving. It's the total lack of boundaries. Your energy is a well with no cover, open for anyone to draw from, and you haven't yet learned that it can run dry. You operate under the assumption that your compassion is an infinite resource. This stage is defined by an emotional porousness. You don't just sympathize with people, you absorb them. You take on their anxiety, their sadness, their anger, often without realizing it. You walk away from a chat feeling heavy or irritable, not understanding that the emotions you're carrying aren't even yours. This is the start of a dangerous pattern of self-abandonment, where you put their emotional stability before your own. We even celebrate this, calling it kindness. But psychologically, it's the fertile ground where burnout takes root. It's a phase marked by high energy, a powerful sense of connection, and an unconscious need for validation. You feel valued because you are useful, and at this stage, that feels like enough. But it's a foundation built on sand. After a while in the hero phase, that initial rush starts to fade. It's replaced by a low, persistent hum of fatigue. Welcome to Stage 2, the sponge effect and emotional exhaustion. The very gift that made you feel powerful, your ability to feel everything, now starts to feel like a curse. You've become an emotional sponge, and that sponge is saturated. It's not just absorbing emotions anymore. It's leaking, overflowing with the emotional gunk of everyone you've tried to help. This is where compassion fatigue, the negative cost of caring, really kicks in. The main symptom here is a deep, soul-crushing exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up feeling just as tired as when you went to bed. Every conversation feels like running a marathon. Physically, your body starts keeping score. You might notice chronic tension in your neck and shoulders, headaches, digestive issues, or getting sick more often. These are distress signals. Your emotional regulation starts to go haywire. You get irritable, snapping over little things. A wrong coffee order or someone cutting you off in traffic might trigger a burst of rage or tears that feels way out of proportion. This isn't you being dramatic. It's a sign that your emotional reserves are empty. While some studies suggest high empathy can be linked to a greater sense of personal accomplishment, other research shows that without proper coping strategies, it can be positively associated with emotional exhaustion. You're running on fumes. You start to feel like an imposter in your own life because your moods feel foreign. You're still saying yes, but now a wave of resentment follows. The desire to help is still there, but it's in a constant, draining fight with a desperate need for peace and quiet. You're starting to realize the well is not infinite, and the water level is getting dangerously low. When the exhaustion of being an emotional sponge becomes unbearable, a powerful self-preservation instinct kicks in. This pulls you into stage 3, the hermit phase and cynicism. Your system, trying to prevent a total shutdown, starts cutting off access. You withdraw. This isn't a planned retreat. It's a gut-level, involuntary pulling back from the world. You stop answering calls. Texts sit for days. You make excuses to get out of social events you used to love. "I can't people today" becomes your mantra, and you mean it. This is the stage where compassion can curdle into cynicism. You start seeing the world not as a place full of people to help, but as a place full of people who want something from you. Your empathy, once a wide-open channel, feels blocked. You might listen to a friend's problem and feel nothing. This is terrifying for an empath because feeling is so central to your identity. The lack of it makes you feel broken. This emotional numbness is a defense mechanism. Your psyche is blowing a fuse to prevent a complete system overload, but it comes at the cost of profound loneliness. You isolate yourself to protect your energy, but the isolation only makes you feel more misunderstood. You feel guilty for pulling away, which adds another layer of weight to your spirit. Resentment is now your constant companion. You get angry when anyone asks for the smallest favor. You start seeing the unbalanced dynamics in your relationships, the takers who have fed off your energy for years. And while a lot of burnout is influenced by your environment and systemic factors like a demanding job or a lack of support, this is often when you start to see your own role in it. That anger is a vital sign. It's the first flicker of a fire that will eventually burn down the selfless helper persona you've been trapped in. But for now, it's a bitter, simmering anger. You're a hermit in a cave, guarding your last few embers of energy, looking at the world with suspicion. If this journey is sounding painfully familiar, just know you're not alone, and this isn't the end of the story. Recognizing the path is the first step to getting off it. If you're finding this helpful, take a second to subscribe. It helps us keep making content that untangles these messy emotional experiences. The hermit phase is a desperate attempt to stabilize, but without a real change in boundaries, the pressure keeps building. This leads to stage 4, the crisis point. This is acute burnout. The slow drain has become a catastrophic hemorrhage. You feel completely and utterly depleted, physically, mentally, and emotionally. This stage is often marked by a profound sense of hopelessness. You may feel like you've lost yourself entirely. The vibrant, compassionate person you used to be is gone, replaced by a hollowed-out shell. The physical symptoms from stage 2 often become chronic or severe. Your body is screaming that it cannot sustain this level of stress anymore. Emotionally, this is the dark night of the soul. You might have intense outbursts that seem to come from nowhere, sobbing fits or flashes of rage that shock you. Or you might feel a complete emotional shutdown, a deep depression where you feel nothing at all. Brain fog is constant. You feel incompetent in all areas of your life. A deep existential grief can set in as you mourn the person you used to be. You realize you've spent so much time living in other people's lives that you forgot to build your own. This stage is the immediate precursor to the snap. The system is stretched to its absolute limit. It can only do one thing: break. It is a state of crisis, and a crisis always comes before a transformation. And then, it happens. The snap. It's often triggered by something small, one more unreasonable request, one more passive-aggressive comment. To an outsider, your reaction looks like a shocking overreaction, a volcanic eruption of no, a sudden, calm, and terrifyingly final door slam, a decision to walk away from a job or a friendship with no explanation. But it's not an overreaction. It is the cumulative, explosive release of every ignored need and crossed boundary from all 4 stages. It's the dam, breaking. Crucially, while this snap is a crisis, it doesn't have to be just a breakdown. It can be a breakthrough. It's the moment your authentic self rises up and says, "Enough." It's an act of radical self-preservation. This is the point where an empath stops being a people-pleaser and starts becoming self-defined. They have faced the fear that setting a boundary might lead to rejection, and they have finally chosen their own sanity over someone else's approval. The anger that emerges is not the simmering resentment of stage 3. It is a clean, clarifying fire. It burns away the fog of obligation and guilt. You see the manipulative dynamics you were a part of, and you refuse to play the game anymore. This is not about becoming malicious. It's about becoming formidable and clear. The snap can be the end of your life as an unconscious emotional caretaker, and the beginning of your life as a conscious, empowered person. You don't lose your empathy. In fact, you refine it. It stops being a leaky faucet and becomes a focused tool that you control. The journey through these stages, from the hero to the sponge, the hermit, and the crisis, is a painful but often necessary initiation. The snap isn't the end, it's the graduation. It's the moment you stop being a victim of your own gift and start becoming its master. The burnout you experienced was never a sign of weakness. It was a sign that your deep compassion was being poisoned by a lack of boundaries, a need for validation, and often, a work or life environment that demanded too much. The path forward is one of conscious choice. It involves building and enforcing boundaries, not as walls to keep people out, but as filters to let in only what is healthy and respectful. It's about turning that powerful empathy inward and offering yourself the same compassion you so freely gave away. It's about rebuilding your identity around who you are, not just what you do for others. Recovery from severe burnout is a process that can take time, sometimes months or even longer, and often requires actively changing your circumstances. You learn that a no from a place of truth is more compassionate than a yes from a place of obligation. You learn that your energy is your most valuable currency, and you get to decide how it's spent. You become a healer not from a place of wounding, but from a place of wholeness. If you have walked this path, if you have snapped, you are not broken. You are awake. You have reclaimed your power, and you are finally free to use your incredible gift in a way that can help the world without destroying yourself. Which stage of this journey resonates with you the most? Share your story in the comments below. Hearing from each other is how we turn what can be a lonely journey into a collective awakening. If this video helped you understand your own experience, please give it a like and subscribe for more content on navigating the world as an empowered empath. Be sure to watch our next video on setting boundaries that actually stick. Thank you for being here.